I'm Luke Summerhays.
I'm James J. Miles.
And I'm James the Jester Stewart.
And you're listening to Monster Mash.
And on this week's episode, I am very excited to say we're hunting Gore Magala.
Oh, yeah.
Party had just begun. The guests included Wolfman, Dracula, and his son.
Played the mash,
They played the Monster Mash.
the Monster Mash.
It was a
Jericho coming down. Now you know. Break the wall down.
Gore Magala. Gore Magala possesses wings with black, shroud-like membrane. They lack visual receptors, heightening their senses by scattering scales from their wings to ascertain the locations of life forms. At the peak of their senses, feelers extend from their head, the wings unfurl and they become frenzied. They are feared not only for their sinister appearance, but also for the mysterious frenzy virus that they carry.
No one could have seen it coming. This stalking shadow, the mist that envelops it, an evil force that consumes its prey. It's already too late. Even those who struggle in a desperate effort to survive are beaten and pinned down by its overwhelming force. Not until the end, when all is over, will it reveal its ghastly form.
Best monster in the game, lads. There's no questions. It's just the best.
Yeah, it's pretty cool
He's
to
up,
have this
he
guy
is
back.
up there. Big time.
Just great xenomorph-like vibes from the design.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if we said that last time, but we definitely
yeah.
need to. They're big, with like the blind eyes and the black sort of carapace. Yeah.
I just like
That
that aspect
kinda-
of Gore, like right off the bat, that he's like can't see. like, like I like that. Like in monsters, like where they've got like they're using their other senses and abilities to kind of fight their prey.
And it is cool that obviously from a design aspect you can see it doesn't have eyes, but I do like as well when they make that and then have a actual gameplay response. Like flash bombs do not work on them at all as a result. Just neat little touches like that just make me really, really appreciate this whole game and make me appreciate the Gore Magala even more than I already do. What a lad.
So, for listeners who may be brand new joining at World or at Rise, do you want to talk about sort of where Gore Magala comes from and maybe why we're so attached?
Yeah, well, for you and I, Luke, I mean, I don't know how far you got in for you, but I always consider we both kind of started and got into the game with Generations initially.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have encountered it in 4U. I didn't play that much.
Yeah, so when we first fought the monster in Generations, like it was just a really cool looking, well designed monster. With some like unique gameplay elements we hadn't seen in the game before to that point, which we'll obviously speak about during the episode. But the actual debut of Gore Magala was in Monster Hunter 4, obviously which we experienced through 4 Ultimate, where he is effectively your Magnamalo Nergigante equivalent. That he's like your recurring boss enemy, so to speak, that persists throughout the main story of 4 Ultimate, and pretty much I would say to actually more degree than nearly any other monster in the series, like really fuels that whole game with the frenzy virus, the actual hunt chasing it across the world with the Caravaneer and everything like that. And 4U, I think we've always spoken about this on the podcast. Like 4U is, from a story standpoint, like probably the peak of the series. And I think because the build up Gore Magala in such a good way throughout that game, we've always been so well. I know I've always really enjoyed it from the outset, just from the design standpoint.
The first hunt, it's like on the boat, right?
On the boat, that's right.
The Gore Magala, where you have to repel them, and that's just like it's such a good set piece that.
That's it.
It's such a shame that they haven't brought stuff like that back or done like other kind of set pieces like that, like to use because clearly like the guild and hunters, like they travel on boats. It's either across the ocean or over like the sand dunes. Like they use kind of boats of some sort. Like, and they should just use that more because it's great kind of set piece kind of scenarios like they could be pulling from. And when they've done that with Gore, it's just such a memorable moment.
Mm-hmm.
They did do some set PC stuff in World, but yeah, not on the boat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Rise had like the Rampage, and then first Magnum Arlo, and then
Narwa.
Mm-hmm.
Narwa, and are tied into the Rampage. But the Rampage was mostly felt separate from our journey through the game. There's only like one or two necessary rampages, and then we didn't play it that much.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with Gore Magala and the Frenzy, like the main thing you were encountering in Monster Hunter 4 was tied into Gore Magala. The actual gameplay and the story
and then
all
the end game
combined to build up this monster.
Definitely.
And I don't think they've done that since.
No.
And certainly not before.
I mean, the whole 4-year journey, you're chasing Gore Magala, right? Like, that's the...
But that's what I'm saying. It's not only the story. Gameplay-wise, Frenzy is a big mechanic in that.
Yeah, because everything
and
leads
Frenzy
into, like,
is tied to Gore Magala.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying there, because everything kind of leads into, like, the whole, even, like, endgame mechanic where you're fighting, like, the Apex monsters before Ultimate, and, like, that's all tied into them basically those monsters reacting to the Frenzy virus.
They're monsters that fought through it like we can,
Yeah.
Yeah, they are Apex monsters and we are an Apex hunter. It's a really cool the way it all mixes in.
Like, they make them easy to love. Like, that's definitely the crux of that whole little side point. There's a lot of time and energy into development time put into Gore Magala, so you can see that it comes across. It's really apparent with like the unique mechanic he has, the design, and the fact that it evolves as well, like a bloody Pokemon. Or,
Yeah, well, I guess like last time, we'll get to that in a later episode.
But,
but that brings me on, because there is all of that background, but me and you, Jay, still fell in love with this monster, basically stripped of that.
Well, that's it, and I think players that are new to Rise probably will do the same. Like I remember reading a Reddit thread about like it was something like this titled like "New Players to Rise. What are your favorite monsters?" And Gore Magala came up quite often. Like people were saying like, "Oh yeah, he's really cool design. I really like the the frenzy mechanic. Like it's a really good sort of risk reward mechanic of having to get in there and attack the monster regularly." Which I know you're not quite there, Luke, but they do pretty much have that throughout the whole end game loop of Sunbreak as well. So they know it's a good mechanic. That the whole kind of not quite Bloodborne because you're not recovering health with the frenzy, but you are still.
Yeah, you have to be aggressive, or it's going to bite you in the ass.
Or it's going to
when that bar
fully
runs
proc.
out,
That's it. Yeah.
Well, I remember it from the previous games and this one. So
that's it, and it's like the fact that it has a whole mechanic built around it. Like it obviously sticks out. You're like, oh yeah, that's the frenzy monster.
Well, other monsters have a status that maybe is introduced with them, but I don't feel like any other status affects the gameplay in the way the frenzy does.
No, I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, because like what other monsters like have, like you can use, like I said in like the last episode, there's a way to kind of prep for it or negate it, whereas you can't do that with Gore Magala's. Like it's always there, and you've got to kind of deal with it through gameplay and attacking the monster, which is a good thing.
Definitely. So So,
And-
compared to your memories from the older games, how does the fight feel in Rise?
As good, if not better, to be honest. And that's probably just through the improved game speed and, fluidity of the combat in Rise.
This feels like it's like more mobile and like in Sunbreak compared to the older games, but like I think you've just got that in general. Like since World, like the mobility's just kind of shot up across the board, like for the hunter and the monsters, like to kind of compensate like for that.
Fighting it in the Citadel as well, I think this time and the other time I fought it, you end up having the finale of your battle in, like, the church, which I'm assuming is where I'm going to fight Malzeno soon enough, but... So it's just that really cool, grand, like, showdown where there's this big, dark monster and you're in a churchyard and the music's ramped up and it's here we go. 2 enter, 1 leaves.
It's not even that. Like,
It's
at the
very
very beginning of the hunt, like, you start the fight at the top of the mountain on that kind of, like, mountain plateau sort of area.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think any other monster goes up there, to my knowledge, from what I've played of the game. Like, so that feels like that's Gore.
Just the other one we're going to talk about in another episode.
Yes, and that one's. Did we not skirt around this on the original episode as well?
We did that last time as well. Yeah. Well, it's not
10-year
even like
spoiler.
It's not even a
Ooh,
secret, is
spoilers!
it?
It's
No.
more a case of like, we know we've got to do an episode on the Shagaru Magala in a couple of weeks, so
Yeah.
we don't want to blow any of that now.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, like the fact that it's got its own little arena, it just adds to this how special the fight feels. Like, I know they can't ever have him as the main villain monster again because they've done that. It would feel like a retread. But me and you have spoken about this, Jas. Like, we would happily play like a 4U HD, like, and like Gore would carry that game like he did.
Well, it's
back
funny
in
you
the
say that because
original release as well.
in 4U they have a big plot where Kushala Daora is the main Elder Dragon you're like building up for. So 4U is a game where they did
yes,
reuse
that's
an
in
old monster in the
G-Rank,
story.
right?
Yeah. So it's not impossible that they could make a story where an older returning Elder Dragon is a big deal.
Suppose so.
If anything, I think in Sunbreak, Gore Magala's dropped in like without much ceremony. It's not even an urgent quest.
No, that's right. I just remember getting into 4-star and looking through the list of new monsters, and I'd fortunately been unspoiled that he wasn't in the game. I think he was dropped in one of the first trailers. So I
I think
looked
the
for
words
the
were
list.
something to the effect of
Probably something like that, or oh yeah, here we go. Like, just absolutely chuffed to bits to see him there because he is my favourite monster, hands down. So
and he was like very widely requested, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean,
like you're right up there,
I
like in the favourites, like the kind of top tier like monsters, like the big two. I'd say it's either Gore Magala or Nargacuga. Like those are the ones people will generally.
And in terms
say.
of ones that people have been begging to come back, it's Gore Magala and Lagiacrus, and obviously there are much bigger hurdles to getting Lagiacrus back how you remember him than there are to Gore.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I do love about Gore in this game compared to fighting him in 4 or even Generations is the fact that you can see right across the map in Rise and Sunbreak, and like because he tends to perch himself up, like you said, on top of that mountain or in the castle, you can see him all the way across the map and like, oh my god, look at that thing just looming over the environment. I gotta go fight that.
big creepy fucker. Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well with the jump to seeing him in, well, I know you would have been able to fight him in Generations Ultimate, but let's face it, visually compared to Rise, that's a bit of a leap going from GU to Rise. I think like things like the like when he goes into his rage mode and like the actual color palette of the area change, the lighting changes in the area, like you get that kind of purple haze up in my mind. You get that across the whole arena. It really looks visually impressive when he does that, and obviously from a design standpoint, just those like purple talons that are kind of like purple horns that are kind of like glowing, like almost like this eerie luminescence, just adds.
I always
to
saw like people like
cool
worried
factor.
about that, like the aura thing that he puts up when he goes into like the full like rage mode. Like a lot of people were kind of worried, like, oh, how do you bring him back when it's like open-ended maps and he has that, like, because in the closed off zones it's easy to like darken like one zone when he goes into rage mode. But like, how do you do that? Like in an open kind of more open environment map. But I think they handle it like really well. You never really notice it. It's not like you kind of
No,
No, it's
look
not.
off
Yeah,
into
you
the
can see like
distance.
a.
It's like
dome
they
or
just put a
something.
kind of, it's like they just put like a filter like over the screen, like really.
Oh,
Like,
it's like I don't
because
think.
like, you always see it no matter where you look in Sunbreak. So like when he's
Yeah.
enraged, so that's a nice aspect of it. Like I do like that they didn't kind of
in terms of
ruin it in any way.
his visual design, like you mentioned at the start of the episode, Jas, that he's got like some xenomorph about him, which is definitely true. But also, so one thing about dragons, which you see in what mythology and Monster Hunter does as well, is that they've got 4 limbs plus wings, which, like, you know, nothing outside of the insect world really does. And then with Gore, it even walks on the wings, so it's got like 6 limbs. And you combine that with like the carapace and everything, it's just weird. And it has got like a bit of an insect vibe to it, and there's nothing else that does that in this game or anything else that I can think of. It's a really unique, even just in the way it moves, there's nothing else quite like it. And it means that when it's barreling towards you, it's, you know, it's got 6 legs stomping instead of 4. It just really feels like it's trundling towards you, it's coming at you.
it's
the
that kind of
the closest thing I can think of, like, is kind of almost similar as Valstrax. But like even that,
Yeah.
his wings, that he uses his
He
wings,
uses
but
them
they're
as
not
like a weapon.
they're not limbs, but like he uses them like, so it's still got like the kind of 6-pronged attack almost. But yeah, like
Yeah, that's fair.
as far as like limbs go, yeah, like Gore's like probably the only one.
And
I
yeah,
think
it's
it
got
really adds to like the otherworldliness of the monster. Like we spoke about, like how it reminds us of the xenomorph, and you know, obviously this alien, otherworldly beast, and to that element, the Gore Magala feels like nothing else in the game. Like, obviously, Xeno'jiiva was meant to have that same sort of feel, you know, like with the whole like this thing arrived on a comet, this thing's not of this world, this thing's creepy and alien and disgusting and not natural, and you get that sense from Gore Magala in a lot of ways, I feel.
So Xeno'jiiva was great for that, but then absolutely bottled it with Safajiva. Whereas Gore Magala has, an otherworldly alien crawled out of some, pit designed to it. But then Shagaru Magala also has this weird, very different otherworldliness. So I would say, if anything, it does it better than Xeno'jiiva when you put the whole 2 forms together.
Total package. The last bit of it. On you go.
So I was going to say, 4U would have been... Because 3U was somewhat successful in the West. And then 4U was, they gave it a big old push, right? It's a 3DS exclusive. Gave it a lot of marketing. I think it did sell, some copies. And I remember seeing
there's basically
a lot of
like
pictures.
the 2 games behind it, like as well, like that kind of. I think that helps. Like obviously, try on the Wii and then 3U. On the Wii U, like, and then you drop like the next kind of proper sequel. Like that's got to help.
But what I was going to say is I remember seeing a lot of pictures from E3 or Gamescom or whatever of that big statue of Gore Magala they used to trot out. And that thing looked really sick. And I would love to have seen it in the flesh, as it were. In the plastic. Just a strong-ass design.
Yeah. Like the last sort of like element that I wanted to touch on in the design is, and I don't remember seeing this as clearly in the older games. Again, this might just be an added element of having.
I can see clearly now, my eyes are gone.
Yep.
Makes no sense.
I know.
So, Yeah, I don't know if it's like a byproduct of it just being on a more souped up engine, but like the wings, you kind of have like this almost like this black smoke rolling off them, like, and it really adds to it, like, almost looking like a cape, like barreling along the ground besides the gore, which again just adds to that cool factor, right? Like it just they wanted to make a cool but creepy looking monster, and by God, they succeeded.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So the name comes from gore. Just means basically they just wanted a word that sounds really scary and evil.
Mm-hmm.
And then Magala comes from Aramaic and means like incarnation. So he's just like the incarnation of all evil and doom, which is, fits an absolute edgelord OC with wings made of smoke and no eyes, and he sees through the virus he spreads.
One thing I did want to actually touch upon, and you just reminded me of there. So do you know the there's an NPC that roams about Elgato, and he's like a proper massive edgelord. Like one of the first
Chevaliers.
That's it.
Like
One of the
there's a group of them.
One of the first requests he gives you is for a Gore Magala. I just thought, yes, perfect. Give the edgelord the Gore Magala request. That's what we like to see.
Silva.
Because I think I just picked up that quest because it's a Gore Magala capture.
That's right. Yep.
And that surprised me, but I forget. It does. It calls it unknown when it's Gore Magala. It doesn't call it an Elder Dragon until Shagger Magala.
That's right. Yeah.
No.
One thing that again me and Jas have kind of spoken about, would love to see back, would be the what's it called, the kind of
I know the one. I can't remember its name, but yeah, where you can see the gold scales coming through.
That's right. What's that called?
Chaotic Gore. Chaotic Gore
Yeah.
Magala. Yeah. Like they've got to put that in an event. Like, they've got to.
Yeah. Well, they mostly seem to be adding like subspecies
Variants.
and weird variants in the events.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like rare variances generally the title updates. Who knows, maybe the next title update. Maybe it's one of the... I'm assuming they're going to do another 4 monsters like for the next title update, so I'm hoping for Chaotic Gore to be one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy. What is a podcast but a miserable pile of banter? Join us next week for Malzeno.
But enough talk. Have at you.
But there is a little bit more talk, because you can find this podcast on Twitter at Monster Mash Pod. We're also on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Make sure you like and subscribe, rate and review, tell a friend. And if you want to help support this podcast and find links to other podcasts that me and my pals create, you can go to patreon.com/podcastio.
And Jas, what can they tweet at the absent Andy Bourne? What can they tweet at AndyMan949 this week?
I don't know, man. Like, I usually like just completely the last episode we recorded, like that was my kind of go-to thing that I thought of.
It's so funny because you do this every week. You direct it at Jas, and every week he's completely surprised.
I've been fine the last few times because generally I've thought ahead, or we've only recorded like 1 episode, and now we've recorded 2 back to back, and I'm like, what do I say? Because usually I try and like riff off of something maybe Andy's like said, but he's not been here this week, so.
Well, what do you
Tweet
think
at
Andy would have said?
AndyMan949 which you prefer out of Alien or Aliens, and one lucky winner will get a free copy of something out of Andy's cupboard.
Oh, here we go.
Speaking of which, check out sister podcast Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary, because during this month of October we will finally be doing a podcast about the film Alien.
Nice.
I've already recorded it. I know it's coming out.
Nice.
We got a guest in. She is a comedian who is on the improv group called Ripley.
Very good. I don't know why, but when you said I've got a guest in, my first thought was, and it's Jonesy the cat.
Jay, that cat's dead.
That's very sad.
Oh my god! Sorry, stop the presses. Monster Hunter Explore had an Evangelion Gore Magala.
Oh, brilliant!
10th Angel Gore Magala, and it looks like a Metroid boss, to be honest, but it does look pretty sick.
That was a Metroid boss. That's what it looks like, right?
Yeah.
Talk about another
Gore
game
Magala.
that's like influenced by aliens and xenomorphs.
Yeah.
Gore Magala now with 100% more emotional suffering.
The monster is part of a collaboration with Neon Genesis Evangelion, with its appearance based on Zerael.
Alright. Catch you next time.
See ya.
Cheerio. And Star Quest.
Dark Wings, Dark Work.
Beneath
Little Game of Thrones reference there for you.
Yeah, I think it's a Game of Thrones reference, right?
Because it was around the time of the 3DS games, they were making a lot of Game of Thrones references in Monster Hunter.
Were they?
I was going to say, it's kind of weird.
Yeah,
because,
well,
this was the name of the quest.
in this same way.
I was going to ask if it is there because, like, that's definitely that's the same quest name as in For You.
Yeah,
How did you
the
find
show
your
might have been
game?
very new, but the books
Yeah.
were
The
already
books,
popular.
books are about you. I just wasn't
the
sure
kind of
if that
nerds who-
started yet. Or not.
When did
yeah,
For
was
You?
For You.
For You might have been like 2012, right? Or later than that. 2012, 2013. So yeah, I think Game of Thrones was out 2011. So
Dark Wings, Dark Words is from like the first season, or at least the first book.
yeah, so definitely. I definitely think it was of the right era. Seen any of the new show? Look, House of the Dragon.
No, I've been meaning to check that out and Rings of Power.
I've not seen Rings of Power yet, but I'm actually
Rings of Power I can get hold of much more easily because it's Amazon Prime.
Amazon.
I
Yeah,
actually don't
the,
have any idea how I'd watch Game of Thrones in Japan.
The House of Dragon's been actually really fucking good so far. I've been quite impressed and happy.
Looks like it's got a lot of dragons in it, so you know that's me sold.
Yeah, there's a decent amount of dragons.
Made me wait ages for dragons in Game of Thrones.
Did you know there were dragons when you first started watching?
I'd already read the first 3 books before I started watching the show. So yeah, I did know there were dragons. Also, they're not fucking subtle about what those eggs are going to end up doing, are they?
Could be anything. Could have been like a little.
She's got some dragon eggs that it makes sure to zoom in on once or twice an episode.
Goblins
Just in case you forgot about them.
Little goblin lad.
Do you know what I would love? If when George finally finishes the last couple of books, he makes a sudden big fucking turn and it's got goblins and orcs and trolls in it.
We've already had giants, right? We're not that far off from trolls.
But overall it has felt like a bit different to the... You know, it just has races of people instead of, you know, fucking a bunch of made up races to hate, like most fantasy has. Tell you what I did watch though.
What's that?
I finished the Resident Evil Netflix show last night.
Oh no.
But because me and my mate Rob, we'd watched the first half, and then when we hung out last night, it's like, it's not good, but we got halfway, we got to finish it.
Isn't it cancelled now?
Yep.
So they may as well finish it. It's a one-off season.
It's so frustrating because Lance Reddick is great.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
Is he?
And he's
Wesker?
perfect casting. He's Wesker in it. And you get like 1.5 scenes of him actually being Wesker. I think you
Does
don't
he
care about me
say-
spoiling this shitty show.
Does he say complete global saturation?
No. Well, technically, he's a clone of Wesker.
Alright.
It's set after basically all the games have happened.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yep. But Wesker had some clones that were doing science for him, and one of them, after Wesker's dead, gets to live
On paper,
a
like
life.
that's a really good way to do like a show that's
Yeah.
based on like a video game. Like it's like set up.
But yeah, you
way
get one
after.
flashback to like the 3 clones working on their science. It's like a scene out of fucking Multiplicity. But then proper Wesker walks in all his leathers, goes around threatening people and being scary, and some guards show up and he kills them by fucking warping around. So that was good. And then you get a bunch of scenes of this Wesker intimidating people. So they're pretty cool. But there's a bit where they're talking to a different clone, and he's like, "Oh yeah, the original Wesker, he's dead. He died in a volcano, but don't worry, he wasn't very nice." And that was like the highlight of the show. We rewatched it like 3 times. It's really nonchalantly, he died in a volcano. We're like, what the fuck? Resi 5 happened in this show? Okay. Somewhere out there in this universe, we're supposed to believe there's a Chris who punches boulders.
Yes, of course we do.
Oh, and it ends with like the main Wesker clone gives his daughter a note. It's like, you got to go and meet her. She'll help you. And it's Ada Wong, but obviously we're never going to get to see their Ada Wong now. But yeah, it's basically mostly it's a piece of shit.
Wonder, but that could be confirmation of Resi 6 fucking existed in that universe if they get Ada Wong. Obviously, we'll never get that now, but.
I mean, I think we just have to assume that all the games happened in this.
Brilliant.
There's a scene where they find some of his files from Raccoon City and they see like Lisa Trevor. Well, yeah, would not recommend.
Oh yeah, we should probably say spoilers for the listeners. If you ever want to watch that show.
I don't think we need to care.
Nope.
If you've been offended by me mentioning what happens in the Resident Evil TV series, sort your fucking life out.
If you've been affected by any of the material in today's programme, fuck off.
You could phone us at 1-800. Fuck off.
If you've been offended by any of the things you've seen and heard in this episode, contact Andrew Rice on Twitter at AndyMan949.
I would love if Andy got genuine complaints on his Twitter.
Fucking spoiled Resident Evil.
He'd be the worst complaints manager.
Then he would just reply to them with his Andy Man reviews fucking account and just like
Good, it's shit.
review their like fucking yeah shit 0 out of 10. Like what were you doing watching it? Or
That's why I waited till he wasn't here to bring it up.
Review their like reply or their complaint.
I think he'd at least throw it. He'd throw it a couple of points. He'd throw it a couple of points for the suggestion that Boulder Punching Chris Redfield exists in this world, like that.
Yeah.
He's a big fan of that, rightfully so.
I think I need to smash up this guy's wings.
This guy's wings.
Yeah. Need some
What
bits.
for? Oh, bits. Okay.
Armour.
Good try.
I feel like a nice fluffy texture on the wings. I like that. Like a moth. Moth vibe on
think
the
that's-
wings.
I think that's meant to be like the frenzy kind of
Yeah,
ripping
yeah.
off of it.
Well, that's what the reason moths look fluffy is because they got like a dust, right?
Oh. Alright.
What do you guys think of moths?
They're alright. I don't like they flying from my face.
I think moths are really cute, but a lot of kids don't like them.
There's a guy at work, my team at work, that is like very, very scared of moths.
Not like Tarkin.
Yeah.
Gideon. I was trying to remember the one from Mandalorian.
I keep sending him emails, like it says stuff like important business update, and he opens the email and it's just a really
a picture of a moth.
close zoomed in like picture of a horrendous looking moth.
I'm gonna send him a surreptitious message letting him know how much you don't like octopi, so he's got something to do back.
No, it's not. Horrendous creatures.
See, when someone he can dish it out.
Oh no, I would understand if he found out my octopus fear and did it back. I would like, okay, fair play. But fair, he did find out.
Have I told you my one moth anecdote from work?
Oh well, now if there's a time, here's the place.
There was a kid trying to tell me that there's a moth in the room, but he didn't know the English word for moth, so he called it a small mothra.
Yes!
Brilliant. That's what they're called from now on. That's what I'm calling them. Small mothras. Baby mothras. That makes them a bit acceptable. Like, I'm not a fan of moths either. I'm not scared of them, but like...
I think you're scared. I think that was an admission of fear.
Nah.
Yep, sounds like you're terrified, mate.
Yeah. I'm going to send you a tweet saying important Monster Mash update. And it won't be...
Moths round the light bulb. Jester is terrified. Moths round the light bulb.
Did you get the tail look?
Oh, I didn't know we got the tail.
Yeah.
I actually need parts, so I should get that. You know, we recorded our previous Gore Magala episode, I think right as, I've forgotten her name, which is, Theresa May had become Prime Minister.
Wow.
And, yeah, we're recording this one right as Liz Truss becomes Prime Minister. So, yeah, the Boris Johnson administration came between Gore Magala episodes. That's the real fucking Magala eclipse.
Gore Magala is the harbinger of likely ineffectual Tory female prime ministers. Kind of send Jasper to the draw you.
Just waiting on look, yeah.
I mean, I can see it.
2,
You can start
1.
bombing him. Kabooey!
Did not time that right
And a
enough.
big old chop.
I got mine.
Oh well.
Hey.
Control for the segment, look, maybe.
Alright. Well, we were concentrating on fighting the monster then, so it probably wasn't a great listen, guys. But thanks for tuning in anyway.
There was some
I might
chat
cut,
there about
might
moths.
cut that bit where I
Pretty
threatened death on
mothras.
a political figure again.
I thought it was a better chat than this for nice one.
No, the bits we were chatting were good, it's just that there was a real long pause towards the end.
Oh!
Or carbon
I can
parts
probably
and-
cut that out easily enough. I can see it on the file, right? Anywho, thanks for listening. See you on the flippity flop. Be nice to moths.
It's the small moth.